Hey everybody, welcome back to We Are Podcast Network. This is Movie Amnesia, Season 1, Episode 1, Starship Troopers, featuring Benjamin D. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, thank you so much. Please go to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, or iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. We're at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at /We Are Podcast. With that said, on to the podcast. Alright, welcome everyone to the Movie Amnesia Podcast. This is episode 1. This is Duck Talking. Today I have a very special guest star. It's going to be my best friend in the entire world, Mr. Benjamin Deffabaugh.
Oh, hello!
Oh, hello, Ben. How are you? Alright, so, what is the idea of the Movie Amnesia Podcast? We're going to watch a film that Ben has not seen in a very long time. Today's movie is going to be Starship Troopers!
Yeah.
So, Ben, how long has it been since you've seen Starship Troopers?
It's been a long time. It's at least 10 years.
Minimum.
I'm just like, I don't want to over-exaggerate, but it's been a long time. I was probably a child.
When do you remember first becoming aware of this movie?
That's a weird question.
That's true, dude. Like, did you see the movie?
When was I aware of it? Well, for years it just went past my knowledge of existence, and all of a sudden, I do exist.
To be fair, we're going to get into that in a minute, because today was the first time I've ever watched this movie, and it was released in 1997. So in my case, my brother had a copy of it. I remember when it came out in movie theaters back in the day, in 1997. I remember seeing the trailers. And I remember thinking it looked like shit. And that's why I've never watched it, because I've always thought that it kind of looked like shit. I didn't like the way any of it looked. I've only ever seen the last, I'd say 3 minutes of the movie. And that was enough to pique my interest, which I can't say what it was. I know you're over there going, what were the last 3 minutes?
I'm over!
Alright. But, so I was always piqued my interest a little bit, because I kind of got the vibe off that last 3 minutes that it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek movie. It kind of didn't take itself too seriously.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we're going to get into.
Hence the name. The name of the movie Amnesia. That's genius.
Yeah, so when was the first time you watched this movie?
First time, I think it was... I was hanging out with my best friend at the time. Sorry.
Hey! No other best friends.
I didn't know you yet. This is like when a man and a woman are dating. Like, I didn't know you yet. You can't judge me for who I dated before you.
I'm leaving. All right,
so this is my friend before you.
What was his name, Ben? No other friends.
It was Keith Hoffman.
And Keith was cool. I met him once.
You met Keith?
Yep.
Yeah, in Greensburg.
Yep.
And I think we were hanging out like in his room or whatever, and I had like a sleepover. I used to sleep over at his house at the time. And I think we just watched it there on like an old little 13-inch CRT TV or something like that. So I must have been, that was before I moved to...
I was about to talk shit on the 13-inch TV. I watched it today on like a 5-inch phone, and I was about to take such a big shit on that TV, like 13.
But that's high def though. Probably look better on the phone than on that TV.
I don't know, dude. I think if I watched this when I was a kid, the experience would have been 10,000 times better. And I'm going to tell you right now, it was pretty fucking good.
Dude, I was probably
really
second or third grade, because I moved up to Clarion in 4th grade.
So you were in 2nd or 3rd grade. So
I was
how
young.
old were you? You were like
the first time.
9, 10, 11?
I wonder how old that is. When did it come out?
It came out in 1997. So you were born in what, 84?
84.
So you would have been about 13. When it came out, 13, 14.
Whatever.
You were only in 2nd or 3rd grade.
I was a smart child, apparently.
Dude.
Maybe it wasn't there.
Yeah,
maybe this isn't just movie amnesia. Maybe this is just general amnesia, just life amnesia.
I don't even.
Where the heck was the first time? Was it with you? I bet you it was.
Dude, I've never watched it.
I confuse my best friends sometimes.
It had to have been the other best friend, the one we don't speak of.
Was it the early Duck era or the post Duck era?
It was the Randy era.
But maybe it was like with you and Matt.
No, it wasn't me. Might have been with Mike.
Might have been with Matt.
Might have been with Matt. You watched it.
I bet you it might have been with Matt.
And for those who don't know, Matt is my older brother. So
when did it become in existence to me?
So you don't even know.
That creates a deeper question. When do we all really know that things exist around us?
That's true, dude. I'm telling you, as we get older, like, memories are really, they get distorted, don't they?
Big time, dude. I don't even know who my friend was back then.
Yeah, you didn't have any, that's why.
Nothing around me mattered because that movie was so good.
Like later you're going to be driving home and you're like, fuck! Where was I? Let's skip ahead. It doesn't matter where you first saw it. Have you watched it since?
I think I probably watched it once, like, splitting up the first time I watched it and now.
Okay. So, So maybe
Two
one
times,
other time.
and then I would
two
go into
times.
like doctors or dentist offices, and they would have it play in there, and I'd see those pieces, and I'm like, whoa.
What was your initial? How do you feel was your initial reaction to the movie?
It was awesome.
Yeah, you enjoyed
And
it.
yeah, at the time there wasn't really anything like it. I mean, it was just like you never saw big crazy CG bugs like that looked legitimate, and they're throwing their little hand stingers inside of bodies and stuff. And like,
What y'all can't see is Ben's jabbing with like a little praying mantis hand at the just at the air, just going grabbing people individually. As he
it's a
goes.
praying mantis, stab.
So you never saw that before.
No,
And then
and I also remember. I'm gonna throw this out there right now. It was probably the first dirty scene that I remember.
okay.
I don't remember because of the amnesia. I don't remember if they were naked or if there was like real sex going on or if they were just kissing. But all I remember was I was a little kid and I got a little heated. And, and it was basically the equivalent of pornography to me, that scene. And that was probably the first time.
Now, here in your imagination, you remember being in 2nd or 3rd grade. We realized you're probably 14 or 15, hanging out with my brother,
Nothing's
watching this
making
movie,
sense.
getting a little baby boner. But it wasn't because you were obviously a teenager, dude.
I
You were
don't know
probably
if
13
I
or 14.
was aroused. I don't know. I can't say if I was hard or not.
Oh, you were.
But I know
You
there
were.
was something going on in my baby boy brain. Something was different. Like, whoa.
Wait, so this was your sexual awakening?
Maybe.
This scene. Where you were just like, ooh, I kind of want that.
Maybe.
That's awesome. All right, what else? What do you remember being like the main storyline of this movie?
The main story.
Or if you can't think of the main storyline, what are bits and pieces going from the beginning that you can kind of...
So I remember... I don't remember how it began. I only remember how it exactly began because I just saw a 30-second piece.
I accidentally showed the beginning of the movie.
So I know it starts off in a battle, and then it says 1 year earlier. So I don't remember why there's a battle. This is probably like, at this point in time, it says like year 2022. So we're very close to a zombie bug apocalypse, apparently. But it's in the future.
It's coming.
And they're being invaded by bug aliens. And they don't have a lot of like super advanced weapons. They're still just using like machine guns, like AK-47s with like, they look like shotguns. Mm-hmm. And that's it.
That's what you remember.
That's what I remember
or
recall. Apparently I'm wrong because the look in your face is like, you are an idiot.
I can't tell you if you are wrong. I can't tell you if you're right.
Just
I can only
like
guide it.
Regular weapons, but they're what they're wearing looks like Halo stuff.
Yeah.
If I remember.
I would say that it's kind of like that. There's another video game that you might, as we watch it, kind of compare it to. Mm-hmm. Actually, there's a lot of comparisons, and I know for a fact you played this game when you were younger. But yeah, this definitely came before a lot of that.
I'm guessing it's it's that multiplayer game. Shoot.
You're on the right track.
Oh, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Why can't it's on the tip of my
Think
tongue?
Star.
Huh?
Think Star. Begins with Star. StarCraft.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Oh, you weren't thinking about that?
Well, that's totally way just like it.
Yes, it is.
Dang,
yeah.
I was thinking something.
What were you thinking about?
I can't think of the name.
I can't think
That's what the problem was. I couldn't think of the name.
Think.
Yeah, it's just like StarCraft, dude.
It is. As I was watching it, that's all I could think the whole time. It's like, this is like StarCraft the movie with a lot less shit going on. But I'm telling you, dude, I've never seen the movie. I was blown away by how much I enjoyed. It's 2 hours long. And we'll kind of get into what I liked about it after Ben watches it. We're going to have Ben watch it here and just really take it in and just be like, oh, because I was literally just going, awesome!
Yeah, dude.
And I was at work. I literally went like this.
Were bad.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll get into that. But I literally went at work. I went, yes! 2 fists up, dude. Yes! Jumped out of my seat
like
watching
a customer sitting there trying to pay their bill.
Sir, can I just give you the card? No! Yes! Yeah! Yes!
I didn't realize you'd be so excited to take my payment.
Money!
Give it to me personally.
Okay, what were we talking about?
So there's a war.
A war.
War between bugs. I don't really know why. I can't remember if it's I can't remember if I'm thinking this movie or if I'm thinking Skyline, that movie. I can't remember if
it might be Skyline.
Needed human brains, and they came to Earth to get human brains or something. Because I remember there was a big fat, the big mother bug. The big mother bug or the brain bug. I can't remember if it sucked people in or if it was a big brain or if it ate people's brains. I just remember it was a big, giant bug that somehow that's what they had to kill. And if they killed that brain bug,
the mother bug,
the brain mother bug,
I like that. The mother bug.
If they killed the brain mother bug, then that would be like, either the end of the war or a ginormous victory or something like that.
Mm.
And then I think these guys get recruited, and then they go out, and guys are getting stabbed. They're getting they're getting praying mantis stabbed and stuff like that. It's pretty gory, if I remember. It for its time was pretty like whoa.
Now, did that bother you when you were a kid and you watched it, or were you on that the
No,
opposite side of puberty
like,
where you were like, "Fuck you"?
I guess my brain was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like the first time you seen, just like the first, they were probably just kissing, but I thought it was sex. I was like, oh my god.
Just to preface this, Ben's very Christian, and I'm not, so I'm going to curse.
I'm going to try not to.
He's not going to curse. Now, he gets around me.
It took me 3 seconds to say boner.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even want to say it. I'm like, can I say the B word? I didn't want to say it. But I did it.
I'm so proud of you.
I was like breathing heavy. And, I was breathing heavy like that moment when I first saw that scene.
Oh, you did the same thing and took you back?
It felt exactly the same way. I'm like, I don't know if I was necessarily had a boner. I had to think, like, ethically, is this an okay thing to say?
Oh my god, probably not.
But I guess so. No, it's a legitimate thing of the human body. Like, if I say poop, poop is poop.
Yeah, but poop, and boner. Like, that's the new name of the podcast. Poop, and boner. Let's just go back to let's get back on track. Back on target.
Where were we?
That made me so happy. Everyone's getting the mantis claws into them.
They're all dying.
Killed. What's the basic storyline though? What do you remember being the follow through character wise? Do you remember any characters from it?
The main character, don't remember his name.
Okay. What would you explain him as?
Good looking, kind of like typical military looking dude, like a G.I. Joe looking dude, or like Guile from Street Fighter.
Okay. Kind
of looking dude. And I'm assuming there is the one super big guy.
It's in every movie. It's
every military movie. There's that one super big guy. He's probably carrying like a Gatling gun type thing. And then there's the skinny nerdy dude that's kind of more smarty or mathy, or he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. And, there's that one. And then there's the two girls. If I remember, there's two girls because I watched the first 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And they both like him. And he likes them both, and
isn't it weird?
He either kisses or has sex with the one. Did you know that
before?
I knew it was a girl, but
you knew there was one girl because of the boner scene.
Yeah, I knew there was one.
But so go ahead.
But now I remember there's a little bit of jealousy or animosity going between the two girls because I think...
Isn't it so weird how that came back to you just by seeing
instantly,
that little bit?
Dude, that one little bit.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that he likes one more than the other, or I think he likes them both equally and kind of goes...
Kind of like a Betty Veronica.
Kind of goes to the one and then goes to the other. And then the super hot dry hump scene comes in. That's what we'll call it, the dry hump. Because realistically, I'm imagining
I'm going to tell you
that's
right
all
now,
it was.
That's not what it was.
It's not
and
what it was.
And you had every right to have little boner boy.
Okay, so it was a little sassy.
Yeah, it was more than that. I would say there's a scene before that you get to see more. Do you know which scene I'm talking about?
Was there nudity? I think there was nudity then, wasn't there?
Was there?
I'm trying to remember.
Well, there was
Maybe there was
obviously the baby boner scene. There's nudity.
I don't think my parents approved of me watching this movie.
Did they know?
They probably didn't.
Huh.
So maybe I was like 15, 16.
Well, that brings it back. Do you remember being like a very hard R movie? Because it is rated R. Do you remember it being a hard R, or do you remember it being kind of a light R?
Let's say just an R. R was R.
Okay.
Because my parents didn't let me watch stuff like this.
Yeah.
R was just R.
Would you let Mason watch this? Mason is his son.
Now?
He's 8 years old.
Interesting.
Do you think you would
I guess
let him
today's
watch it?
standards, what's really interesting, I'm thinking about it, I'd probably let it, I might.
You might let him watch it?
I'd cover his eyes.
During the violence and the nudity?
I guess I'd have to watch it again, and then we'll talk after. Yeah. And I'll be like, no.
I'm going to tell you right now, you wouldn't let Mason watch this.
Yeah, I guess it's been a while since I saw it.
Did you remember it being a very serious movie?
Yes.
You remember it being like it had a message or anything like that?
A message?
Yeah.
I was probably too young to interpret it if there was any. I'm going to say no, that it was just a cool sci-fi fight military movie.
Okay. Anything else that you can think of that just pops in your mind? You've hit a couple of things, I'm not going to lie. Character-wise, you've hit the characters pretty well. There's a couple in there that you missed.
Yeah, some of the main characters died.
I
remember one part specifically, where they're in a military base somewhere. I'm pretty sure it's on the Bug planet.
Mm.
It's not on like Earth or anything. The battle was over there. And then it gets completely overrun
I was going to say lean up.
Oh, okay. And then it gets, so they're in their military base, and everything's fine, but then out of nowhere, they just get completely swarmed. Things coming out of the ground. Ooh, there's another type of bug. I can't remember what they are, but they're bigger than the normal praying mantis-looking bugs. And they come out of the ground, and they do something, and they basically just, like, rape and pillage. I remember that scene.
I like how easily you said rape and boner. You had to kind of pause on it. Like,
I guess when rape and pillage is together in one word, it's okay.
Yeah.
But the R word by itself, no.
You
You
gotta
gotta say the R word.
And I have problems saying pillage by myself. For another kind of bug coming out.
There's another scene. I can't remember if it's this movie or
the old RP bug.
I want to say the RP bug. I want to say that there is a scene where there is either like a canyon and they're climbing up or down the canyons, or maybe there's just a big mountainous wall or something like that, and there's bugs climbing up and down, and they got to get up it or down and shoot stuff. And maybe that's the King Kong movie.
No, I'm going to say that there's a little bit more to that canyon scene. There's something else that happens in that canyon scene. You've named 2 types of bugs that are in the film.
3.
You're right. What was the third?
The big mother bug.
Okay, so you got...
You got the normal, the pond bugs, which would be like the praying mantis looking ones. And then there's something else that's a little bit bigger. I want to say they're more bulbous and round or something, and they come out of the ground. And then there's the big mother bug. And I want to say, did they have flying bugs too? No, the pond bugs were the flying bugs.
I'm going to say that you're along the right track there, and then there's one more kind too. So, seeing as that's kind of in your mind, the clip scene.
Oh, that's cool! I can't wait to see it. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see it.
You'll see. How does the movie end? How do you feel like it ends?
They're victorious. They win. They end up killing the bug. Not them. They try it and they figure out the weakness of the mother bug, if I remember correctly, because they didn't know originally. They didn't know that this. This is what I think. They didn't know that this bug existed, and something happened where they found out where they get their brain strength, like where the strategy of the bugs comes from. They're like, oh, we found this bug. Now we gotta go kill it. So they try to kill this bug. I think that they don't do it, but another squad does. And I think they get the word at the end that another team had done what they were supposed to do. And so they won, and they're victorious.
Cool.
But I don't think the team that we're watching specifically does it themselves.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else really character-wise. You said some characters die. Do you remember which characters end up biting it?
I think one of the girls. I know one of the girls does. I think the one that he does the nasty with. I think she dies.
Maybe.
Because they sinned against Jesus. They did the nasty before maritals, and Jesus' bug killed them.
Okay, on that note, I don't have any more questions. That made me so happy. Okay, we're going to watch this. I'm going to give a little brief description of the movie. We're going to come back to Ben and ask him some more questions after he's watched this, and hopefully we'll have as much energy because we're about to eat a shit ton of food.
I'm going to be all fat and lazy.
All right. Anyway. In the distant future, the Earth is at war with a race of giant alien insects. Little is known about the bugs, except they are intent on the eradication of all human life. But there was a time before the war. A mobile infantry travels to distant alien planets to take the war to the bugs. They are a ruthless enemy with only one mission: survival of their species, no matter what the cost. Have a seat, young sir.
I feel like I'm in trouble.
You are in trouble because you haven't seen Starship Troopers in 10 years. Welcome back.
Hey.
Gave a little description of the movie, a little rundown. So, Ben, you haven't seen it. Now you have seen it. What do you think?
It was so good.
Yes?
It's still so good.
Is it as good as you remember it?
Maybe better because the nostalgia factor.
See, I have
I
have zero nostalgia for this movie, and I fucking loved it. I watched it twice today. I watched it once at work because that's what to do. And then I watched it again with Ben right now and made some little Alfredo food. It was delicious. But the movie, dude.
There were still parts, even though I've seen it before and it's an old movie, there were still parts where like both you and I were like, oh! We're like, yeah! Like, whoa! You're like, oh, snap!
I'd literally seen it earlier and I still did the, yeah! Okay, let's talk about some of the things you remember, okay? We talked about kind of the overall plot of the movie. Do you think you got that right? People versus bugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there was any more, to it.
I don't think they really
there's no, secret message.
Nope, they don't even really explain it in the movie. Character-wise, if you hadn't seen the beginning on accident, would you know there were 2 love interests in the movie?
No.
Okay. You said there was a character that looked like Gal. You thought was the main character. Ended up that was Jake Busey. And he does look like Gal.
He looks just like Gal.
It's insane how close.
The one thing I was missing, you know how they said you got the one big guy.
Yeah. You were doing pure stereotype archetype.
Yeah, and he got his arm broken or whatever. He was definitely there. He didn't have a Gatling gun. I was wrong about that. Mm-hmm. But there was no nerdy little.
Not really.
No. Because there's always that one nerdy guy that has the glasses and he's.
Oh, gee golly.
I don't know if I can handle this one, guys. But, no, he was not there.
Nope. I was going to say, we'll kind of start from the beginning real quick. So the movie begins kind of showing the beginning of the fight that we get into about halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So it begins with that. They have it almost from a camera crew aspect.
We break net now and take you live to Clendafu, where the invasion has begun. 2, 1, you're on.
We've just landed here on what Scout Troopers are calling Big K of the 6th Mobile Infantry Division. It's an ugly planet.
Where it's the guy filming.
I liked how they did that, and then when they showed it the second time, the same scene from the different angle.
From the
that
battle
was cool.
So the first scene's kind of like a newscaster giving his information, and then when they go back to it about midway through the movie, you get more information because you're actually seeing the battle.
That was pretty cool. I like that.
It cuts from that to 1 year previous, and I mean they're showing the bugs. They're showing I don't even know what they were called. What were they called?
They called them bugs.
Bugs.
Yeah, they just called them bugs.
They had a name for them. What was it?
I could have sworn they called them
arachnids.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you meant
so the arachnids, which are kind of like the grasshopper-looking ones. They show lots of violence. It's so cool.
It starts off like boom,
boom, and you're in, and shit's going crazy. They're doing the report. That guy gets split in half, and you see the main character for a second. Seems like he gets killed. Doesn't get cared for. He gets killed.
He got so cared.
So they cut back to a year before, and they're in school. And that's the thing that we kept laughing about. Was it's only been 1 year, and they went from graduating to fighting these bugs.
Oh,
and then
I guess it has been a year. I was thinking for some reason it was a month.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this dude went from straight out of boot camp to being a lieutenant.
But the time frame's ridiculous anyway.
I
it really
guess
doesn't matter because
you don't even think about
when you actually catch up to that 1 year later, it only seems like 1 week later, and they are the most badass motherfuckers.
And they've been in it for 20 years.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 20 minutes.
And then when the kids straight out of boot camp come in, they have to make it seem like they're so much younger by having 15-year-olds.
We'll get there.
Okay, it's all by your timing, David.
Let's go through the storyline real quick. So you go back to the beginning. They're in school. He's drawing little kissy pictures of him and the girl he's with. I'm assuming they're together.
They're together. Yeah.
And then there's another girl there. We'll just say the brunette and the redhead.
Usually flirt hardcore. Number one, this is not a good role model for relationships. You don't flirt with women like that when you're with someone.
Listen, this girl, he thought he was with her, and then she's the brunette, which is Denise Richards, and then the redhead, I don't know her name. The redhead's all about him. And the thing that they set up that I kind of liked and we agreed on is it's a civilization where there's no separation of men and women. Everyone's on an even plane. And it seems like the sexual harassment's on the same even plane. Because the redhead is, going all in, trying to mac with him. And he has the main character is Rico. Johnny Rico. Not even Hispanic in any way, shape, or form. And none of them are Hispanic. It's the most Caucasian people
you would think it's America, and then you find out that, it's Latin America.
Yeah, it's bizarre. But,
that's pretty interesting.
But it's Latin America 200 years in the future, so maybe that's what
did they say a date?
It's 2,217.
Oh, they did say okay.
They don't say it. I read it somewhere, but it looks like 1997.
Because really the technology wasn't that far advanced. They had advanced their spaceships, but everything else
they didn't. And that we will get to that. That is one of my sticking points. But
they had spaceships that could travel hundreds of light years away, but they still had AK-47s, and they still used
you were right.
Pencils with erasers.
They didn't even have clicky pencils, dude.
Yeah, they didn't even use pens.
Okay, that's not true.
They devolved to pencils.
The first scene you see, he's drawing on a very advanced Etch-a-Sketch kind of
No, it wasn't even an iPad yet. It was it was an Etch-a-Sketch, dude.
You're right. It's
weird. A paint by numbers.
But we should talk about what they get right. We'll get to that in a second. So they're in school. They're the main teacher. He's a guy who was in the army or whatever they call it. He was a Starship Trooper before, and he's missing an arm. And it's played by Michael Ironstein. And I don't remember what the character's name is, but he's called Lieutenant, is what I gathered. But he's kind of like giving them a nudge and a shake, a nudge and a shake, and saying maybe you should go in, maybe you shouldn't. So Johnny, to impress his girlfriend, well, what's the next scene? They're at the football game, and his girlfriend all of a sudden is macking on the quarterback of the other team.
Yeah.
And
right in front of Johnny Rico.
And me and Ben are just both like, that whore!
That stupid bee.
Yeah, I'll call her a whore. Ben will say stupid bee once again. But but the thing is, Denise Richards is so cute in this movie, I can't help but to like her. And we kind of got into this. Ben knows that I'm a huge fan of the redheads. Like, I love the redheads. So you'd think I'd be going for the redhead. In this case, the brunette to me was more attractive. It may be because she was an evil bitch and I tend to be attracted to him. And she was just kind of like flirting with the other guy, but you all knew.
She wasn't like evil, she was just very unfaithful.
Well, and that's the thing, is she plays it off just kind of like, I can't talk to this guy.
That was like the whole evil thing.
Yeah, dude, it didn't make sense.
Like, don't be jealous when I'm hugging on this other dude.
Yeah, when I'm obviously giving them, I'm going to fuck you eyes. It was ridiculous.
If that was my girl, I'd be like, don't you talk.
Well, he does do that. He gets pissed off about it.
At him, not at her, though.
Well, yeah, you're right. But he's totally and utterly in love with that girl. Like, he's totally and utterly in love with her. And that's what the story kind of goes through. Like, he pines for her for a long time throughout this movie. And, I mean, no, it's not right, especially when he has his other girls interested, but we'll get into that.
Are we talking about a movie, or are we talking about, like,
We're just talking about
relationship
ethics.
That's
one of the things I actually liked about this movie, is how people change. There's a story arc for people, and people do change, and the relationships that matter to them change. But then by the end of it kind of doesn't matter anymore, because everyone's kind of with everyone again. They graduate, it seems. They go to like a high school dance after this. She's still flirting with this guy. He's jealous. The redhead shows up. She's macking. And then between all this is fucking...
She's jealous because he's not having it.
He's not having anything for the redhead, who's interested in him. And then fucking Doogie Howser's there for some reason. And you know what? Neil Patrick Harris, I know he disappeared for a period of time. Evidently he was hiding in movies like this. But nicely done.
It was classified.
Yeah. Oh, that's what he says later, right? He says that, Doogie Howser's...
you know what? Maybe he actually is doing a bunch of stuff that we just aren't allowed to do.
Well, the last thing I saw him in before he hit it big again was Undercover Brother, which Denise Richards was in also.
Undercover.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
They're planting little things in there.
So
there's a conspiracy
So what
going
you're saying
here.
is there was a longevity period of movies where he was slowly...
planting little things in there, yep. And then he's like, and he was just trying to tell us, he's like, I'm going to be gone for a period of time.
He was!
Don't worry.
Did you even
I'm still alive.
Did you even watch Doogie Howser?
I did.
Yeah, did you like it?
My parents made me stop watching it when they found out he was gay.
He didn't come out until you were like in your 20s. So I
stopped watching it.
Well, they live in Buenos Aires. Your parents made you stop watching.
Obviously, we know by this conversation that I'm not good with.
So anyhow, all this happens. He decides to go into the academy. His parents are against it. They're like, "You do that, we'll cut you off." He says, "Fuck you."
He says, "No, we'll send you vacation."
And the father,
you ain't going. You're going on vacation.
The acting from the father
was ever.
The worst acting I've seen in a long time.
Later on, I was like, "Oh, it's getting a little dark in here."
Later on, whenever
and she was like, "Legit," and the dad's like, "Yeah, it's getting a little dark in here."
Yeah, later on, whenever the meteor that's sent from the alien planet comes down, like they're just like, "We love you, son. You can come home." It's getting a little dark in here.
The mom's acting was fine.
Yeah, but the father was like, "Is it gonna rain?" Even in the first scene where he's like, "No, you cannot go. You will." I'm doing better acting on vacation. Now. I am more outraged.
Yeah, we can't do it
than the actual character was. He was just like, "You cannot go. You."
Have you lost your mind? I'd rather take 10 lashes in public square than see you ruin your life.
Can't act that bad.
Like our acting is 10,000 times better right now, and it was terrible.
Because you're going to Harvard, and that's the end of it.
It's my decision, not yours.
Oh, is that how it is? Huh?
So anyhow, he decides to join. They have one final scene where he meets up with Denise Richards, the brunette, and he says goodbye. And she doesn't really seem to give a shit. And that's the thing I noticed on my second watch.
No, because they were thinking that they were going to stay together.
But he thought that. You could tell she was already kind of leaning towards fuck you. That and her acting's really bad, too. But and then Doogie Howser, they all meet up. They make like a pact. And at that point, Ben said, "Oh, I remember the end of the movie." Because they repeat that later on at the end of the movie. And it was literally like there were little aha moments you had throughout the film.
I thought they were going to be in it together the whole time. I forgot that they split up. They go off in their own directions. And then in a kind of really cool way ended up meeting each other. I thought that was pretty cool.
Exactly. So up to this point, up until he joins, and then he joins and he goes to boot camp. So basically he got a low math score, So he became an infantryman,
Yeah.
I guess. Everyone else kind of got better scores, so they sent Doogie Howser off to be a scientist, and she went off to be a pilot. And he is just a peon. He's just an infantryman. So we go to the actual boot camp, which is a majority of the first half of the movie.
I totally forgot there was so much character building. I thought it was just fighting the whole time. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad character. I mean, it was necessary character building.
I think it pays off because the second half of the movie is a lot of action.
Yeah,
so you're actually invested. And what they do very smart is they set up like 4 or 5 people that they can knock down, especially in the first half. Like the second he gets to boot camp, first you meet Mr. Krabs, Clancy Brown, who plays the drill instructor.
The enemy cannot push a button if you disable his hand.
They set it up like you can leave if you want. There's the door. You can walk out at any point. But if you're going to stay in here, we're going to train you. And literally, he's like, all right, who wants to fucking fight me? And the big guy's like, I guess I'll take you. And he comes out and he goes to swing at him. He knocks him over. He breaks his arm. And that's when it kind of lets you know, okay, the stakes are higher here. They're not fucking around. So then he's at the boot camp, the main character, which is Johnny Rico. And all of a sudden, the redhead shows up. Says she was transferred over. He kind of gets into a little argument like, you came here just because of me because she's totally creeping on him.
Hey, Rico, want to sit together?
No thanks, Diz.
What's your malfunction, Rico?
You are. I joined up to get out on my own, and you had to tag along.
And that's the thing I kind of got into. If you gender reverse that, it was a woman and a man, it would be creepy, right?
Yeah.
But because it's a man and a woman, it's not. Did you feel creeped out by that? Because she's obviously stalking him.
I was like, man, if I would have been like, great. I mean, what man doesn't want some like good-looking woman that's obsessed with him?
He has no interest in her.
But why?
One, because he's got fucking brunette girl over here that he's madly in love with, and she's off with Christian Bale-looking guy on the ship. By the way, the guy that she was flirting with kind of looked like Christian Bale. It's not him, but it looks like him. So he's just obsessed, and his obsession keeps him from getting with the redhead for whatever reason. But she shows up because she knows he's there. She wants to be near him. It's kind of creepy on a weird level. But at the same time, she never like makes a creepy move. Except for they show them all in the shower. And that was the one scene where I was like, what the heck? And I literally turned to Ben, and I'm like, are you going to close your eyes?
I covered my eyes.
Yeah. He literally said a prayer. He left the room. But that was the thing I was trying to hint to before. There was another scene with nudity. There's not a lot of nudity in this movie.
No, there was 2.
But 2 scenes.
Two pieces.
They get into this scene where they're all in this shower together, and it's like a co-ed shower. And that's one of my first thing where I was like, oh, this movie's kind of cool. In the future, they don't distinguish between the two. They don't care anymore. They're just like, get naked. And it doesn't seem like no one's... Okay, my question for you, would you be comfortable in a co-ed shower?
Am I married?
No.
No?
Well, you are married. But if it was like
in
10
this
years
scenario?
ago, yeah, in that scenario.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable with
Would
that.
you? I would not. I'm not even comfortable in the regular ed shower. If me and my tiny dick had to get in there, they'd be like, his balls are huge! One of my favorite stories ever was from our high school. I can't remember the kid's name. He was really funny as shit, okay? But anyhow, evidently he was sitting up and like the shower like had racks in the shower. And he was sitting up there, and as people would come in, he'd start laughing at them. He's like, ooh! And he sounded like Nice Doodles. He'd be like, ooh! Ooh! And like, people would be like, oh man! And they'd be like, oh jeez! And run away.
As they walked into the shower?
Oh yeah. Every time somebody new would walk in the shower to go, because there was an awkward moment where you'd have to take off the towel before you got in the shower, and you were just like, oh, I hope no one looks. But everyone looks, right? And then people come in and he'd be like, oh!
That's fine.
And the thing is, he was sitting up in the fucking racks, dude. That
is hilarious.
Butt-ass naked. Anyhow, so, co-ed shower scene. That's when Redhead comes in. And I had to point out, man, she had fucking pancake titties. And I know you're not going to comment on that because you're a Christian man and you weren't looking. I will comment on that. She had pancake titties, okay? It was bizarre. It was a little bit of the side boob, and then I was like, oh, those are flapjacks. So they go through all the training. The big scene that comes up on the training is they're kind of showing them becoming friends, and then the brunette girl sends him a little email, video message, and lets you know that they're no longer.
They call it writing, which I thought was interesting.
They call it writing?
Yeah, they said, write me, but it was all video.
Exactly. And then she breaks up with him, basically. So the redhead's just kind of like, it's my end, but she doesn't say that. So he's starting to go up in the ranks. And at first they're all kind of picking on him, saying, you're the rich boy. Evidently he was. The house looked pretty nice, and he was supposed to go on vacation.
You got some guts for a rich kid. I guess you and me could be buddies. What do you say?
And he's starting to actually take this very seriously, and I think that gives him the drive. I think he got the promotion right before she broke up with him. So that kind of helps.
Yeah, right before, yeah.
So they're doing the training.
Because he did that little chorus and got the flag and they made him say
That's right. Because they kind of do a hard cut to that scene that's kind of like laser tag almost.
Yep.
Except for whenever the lasers hit the actual
vest. Stuns you.
Yeah, and they're like on the ground shaking and stuff. So they make him the leader of the group. So they go to another training montage, and they've got, and this is what we kept going back to, or you kept going back to, is the ammunition, the guns. It was like modern stuff. Like it wasn't laser guns or shit like that. It was just
regular machine guns.
Hey everyone, it's just Doc jumping in here real quick to say thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you're enjoying it, please head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you get a chance, head over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /We Are Podcast. And if you're enjoying the podcast today, please share with your friends. It's the only way we can grow this network. With that said, back to the podcast.
So they did have laser guns in the laser tag portion
before
that, because the graphics are really bad with that.
I don't think the graphics are bad, dude.
Here's the debate me and Ben kept getting into. This movie, I thought it was a low-budget movie. In 1997, this movie cost $105 million to make. To put that in perspective, and this is what I said to Ben, The Lord of the Rings in 2001 had a $100 million budget for each film. So $100 million for each film. This film cost $105 million. Doesn't even look half as good. Not even a quarter as good as any
compared to Lord of the Rings, no. But
now there's a 5-year gap there, and like I said to Ben, The Matrix came out in that interim too. So and The Matrix changed a lot of stuff we did, and The Lord of the Rings changed a lot too, cinematography and stuff like that. But this movie goes from looking awesome, and there are scenes that are so epic, especially with the arachnids running around, to looking like utter shit, like they're chilling in a cardboard box. And my biggest complaint is the spaceships. They literally look like somebody just painted the side of a cardboard box and threw Denise Richards in there.
I don't think it was that
and
bad.
The matting's terrible. So it goes...
wasn't that
and
bad.
I think the outfits, the actual Starship Trooper outfits look like shit.
You know what it looks like? I was trying to think of like what it looks like. So when you get in on these new cars, if you go to like their base model cars and you look at the inside, like, you know, if you go to the fully loaded ones, they're all trimmed out and they look super nice. If you get a base model one, it's just basic plastic.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
So they had the base model spaceships.
They had the base model spaceships.
And also that actually works because if you think no one has a special Starship Trooper outfit, they all look the same.
Yeah.
The exact same. And there were a lot of people. Like there were like hundreds of people on screen at one time. Those are real people that they were filming. Mind you, they were filming them in like the valleys of the Nevada or something like that.
Of the Nevada.
That's what we call it now. But like some of it just looks so fucking cheap, and then some of it looks super expensive, and you can tell the difference.
There was only one part. Doug said,
Doug
said it looked like a Power Rangers episode. There
It
was
did,
one
when
part when the spaceship was blowing up
at the end,
and there was this fog.
It didn't even look like a good Power Rangers.
They had like
episode.
a smoke machine going,
Literally,
and they were shaking the screen, and
the
people were fake
explosion happened, sparks flew, people flipped. That was how bad it was. It looks like crap. And I kind of discussed with them why I think it looks so shitty. It's the lighting. There is no dynamic lighting throughout the whole film. It all looks like natural lighting, with like natural lighting where the sun was directly overhead at all times.
Yeah. When there wasn't CG, it looked like just like a B-rated sci-fi, made for sci-fi movie.
It did, and that's the part that bugged me. But also, it kind of works because it looks like an 80s film made in the 90s, which makes sense because Paul Verhoeven made RoboCop and Total Recall and movies of that era that were the big blockbusters. So there's no reason for him really to change up what he did.
It was interesting. Like, I don't know why it worked on this one, because realistically, I mean, the CG was good with the bugs. And stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably
awesome.
why it worked, because that was so good.
Oh, it was awesome.
But the rest of it, you're right, it didn't really look fantastic. I didn't think it looked bad, but it did. It looked like a made-for-sci-fi movie.
It did.
But I don't know, whatever they did on this movie, I didn't even notice it. It was just like...
And that's what's weird. On my second
normal.
viewing of it, I noticed that everything I noticed, how the acting was over the top, how nobody was subtle about anything, how things were just cranked to 11 at all times. I didn't notice on the second
I can't wait till we talk about the girl dying.
Okay, yeah, we'll get there. Okay, let's go back to... So anyhow, she breaks up with him.
At 11.
They go to a training thing. So the big guy earlier who decided to fight the drill sergeant, his helmet keeps falling over his eyes, and it looks ridiculous. So Rico tells him to take off his helmet. As he does, another girl...
They're in a live ammunition training.
Exactly. Right, and they're just kind of shooting at green dummies. And she gets shocked. She's standing on like this platform. It shocks her. She falls. the ammunition, evidently she pushes the trigger, and she literally blows the guy's face away.
We go! You are relieved of squad command!
And it is so fucking cool looking. I don't know how you felt about it. I was.
And then he goes into this Stallone mode.
It literally does look like a. Oh yeah, he screams at the top of his lungs. But when it hit, like they filmed that really well because they do like one scene where they show a close up of his face, and then you're like, oh wow, that's really close. And then she falls and she just shoots. And the eyeball is gone, and like the middle of the face is gone.
They did the gore really good.
Oh dude, it was awesome.
Did the gore really good.
And then he pulls the Stallone. Medic! They cut to the next scene. He's being basically like, well, you're demoted. Unless you want to take some lashings, which was weird.
They said something
corporate punishment. They do a corporate punishment where they hang up his arms and they give him 11 lashes, and then he decides to leave afterwards. And even the redhead's like, "Well, you took your punishment.
You took your lickings. Did you call him licking?
Yeah, something like that.
You took your lickings. Why are you going?"
And as he's going to leave, that's when the meteorite comes in out of nowhere. He's on the video phone with his parents, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Is he's talking to his parents, and they're just like, "We love you, son. Come on back. Hey, it's getting awfully dark out there.
Oh, that is a little dark, isn't it?
Hey, it wasn't supposed to rain today."
And it's dark outside.
And then the meteorite comes in, and then that's when they decide to go to war.
Out of the ashes of Buenos Aires comes first sorrow, then anger.
The only good bug is a dead bug.
And then this is about where the movie does a split in half, where it becomes even
and you
better
get re-excited into getting it.
I don't know. It's all character building. It worked for me. I was really enjoying it.
I started to lose a little interest because I'm like, all right, there hasn't been action going on for a while.
An hour, dude.
And then, but it was enough to keep you entertained.
Right.
But then, like, stuff starts to go down again, and I'm sitting up in my seat, and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
You know?
And so they go to this like main battle station where everyone's at. He sees his old girlfriend who'd broken up with him. She's saying hi, and he's just kind of giving her the "fuck you" kind of speech. And then
is it good to see you?
Yeah,
it?
Exactly. And then the new boyfriend shows up, and he's like, "Is everything okay here?"
No, it's not.
And then she's like, "It's fine. It's just Johnny." And then they get into a fight. At first, they're not going to get into a fight because he's like, "I can't fight you because you rank higher than me." He's like,
rank doesn't matter. Y'all hear that? You guys hear that?
And he turns as he said, "You hear that?" And Rico just fucking
whops him a good one.
Freaking get over here.
He gives him a whopping.
Oh, dude, it was great. So they get into a fight. Everyone pulls them apart, and then they go to the planet, and they land on the planet. It's nighttime, and you see all these shots going up in the air, like these blue plasma beams going up in the air, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And this was really cool. Before they showed what it was, Ben actually remembered what it was.
I remember what it was, yeah.
And so what was it?
The giant butt-blasting plasma butt blasters.
Yep.
The giant beetles that shoot big plasma rockets out of their butts that shoot off into space. And
it was really cool to hear Ben go like, "Oh, is that the butt beetle?"
Now.
He's like, "It's the butt beetle."
These are the ones that come out of the ground I was talking about.
Yeah. So that happens. They take one out with a bazooka, and then hell breaks loose. The fucking arachnids come out of nowhere. They're killing people left and right. They're splitting them in half.
And once again, this is where the movie started. That's that first scene.
Exactly. So we cut back to that. And during this whole battle, people that we've started to know throughout the training and stuff, just small character moments here and there, they start picking them off, which is genius because you have a little bit of a connection to each of them.
A little bit, yeah.
But not enough that you care, so they can go. And so they cut back to the news anchor who's giving the thing. They show him getting picked up, gets ripped in half. They show a little bit more. The cameraman gets picked up, same thing. And then they show Johnny really because the guy, or the arachnid, takes his little mandible, or what is that called?
Yeah, I think that's a good word, mandible.
And he slices it through his leg. And we were both like, oh! Because it looked like it was painful as shit. They spent some major money on this scene because it looks good. It looks so good. And then he gets killed. Johnny Rico gets killed.
So you think?
No.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So they cut over to the next scene. He did. So they cut over to the next scene, but I think it's supposed to be a medical bay. They go there. The brunette, she looks at this screen, and she sees that he's dead. It says, whatever. It says K-I.
Killed in action. K-I, yeah.
Yeah, so we're all like, oh, shit. But they cut to, basically, he's in a bathtub tank. Johnny Rico is, which he's just in a giant tank filled with fluid. He's got like a breathing pipe in. And is that the right word I'm looking for?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
Yeah. And so there's this little machine that's redrawing his leg on. And he's getting formed again. So his friends come in, they go, look, you're dead. They put it up to the thing. And then old redhead gives him a kiss through the tank wall. And I'm like, ew, that's gross. And Ben's like, why would you think that's gross?
Like, Duck loves redheads.
I do. I don't know why. It's just like
that's like his thing.
I guess I don't know. It just seemed dirty to me. Like, I don't know, just kissing that.
I've seen some of the redheads that he's into.
Yeah, you're right. So he gets back
so
out.
Weird.
They reassign him to a new because basically they're all dead. It was like 100,000 people died.
100,000 in 1 hour.
In 1 hour, and then so they reassign him to another place, and they show up. And his old teacher is the new lieutenant.
This is for you new people. I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. If you don't do your job, I'll shoot you. You get me?
We get you, sir!
Welcome to the Roughnecks.
And that's kind of cool. He brings back Michael Ironside, and he's no longer missing his arm. He's got like a robot
arm.
Which begs the question, why didn't they give that to him in the first place?
When you're writing and grading papers, you don't really need to like shoot missiles out of your fingers or anything. Fail. Pew, pew, pew.
So anyhow, he becomes the new lieutenant. They're all following him, and they go into another situation where they have a distress call. So they're going to find out what's going on with that distress call. They go into this valley type thing, and they're fighting more bugs, and you kind of see the same thing over and over again. And all of a sudden, I can't remember, the ground just gives way and a giant beetle bug comes out of nowhere?
Eventually, yeah. So they just start getting the arachnids just start to come in from out of nowhere and start to overwhelm them.
Right.
As they're
like down in a valley.
Waves upon waves upon waves are coming in. And then after they're trying to fight them off, then a big beetle bug comes out.
And this thing is huge.
Shoots like this crazy acid.
Yeah, because it has like these
people.
antennas that are lightning, and then like it'll shoot like this acid. But when you put them together, it's like lava almost, or like lava acid. And like the one girl's running away, and it catches her arm, and you literally see her arm turn into a skeleton as it's still moving, and then fall off altogether. I'm like,
sweet.
I'm like, that's awesome.
But they come to find out that this is when they find out that the alien or the bugs are smart, and they had actually the bugs had sucked out the brains of these people and made them do what they wanted to do. So they put out a fake distress call. That's why they were there.
Right, exactly. So right before that,
which I called it brain bug.
He did call
it. And they call it. What did I call it at the beginning?
You said brain bug.
What did they call it in the movie?
Brain bug. What would you call it? The mother bug?
I call it mother
bug.
The old mother bug.
Well, so the giant beetle bug, I want to point this out. They kind of take it out like any tank is taken out in any movie, where he opens the hatch and he throws in a grenade and it explodes. And then they go to this area where they find out that all these people had had their brains sucked out. And when I was watching it earlier, I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. So when you were talking about it earlier, I was so excited for us to get to the brain bug, dude.
Because I forgot about it. Yeah.
But it was cool because you were like, I knew it.
I know now. Like, I remember now.
Because I was like, I wonder what happened there, man. It's like, oh, I know.
Oh, I remember now.
So after that, they get into another big battle there.
There wasn't my canyon scene. I don't know what I was thinking about.
No, there was kind of the canyon scene.
But I was thinking something different. In my head, I was thinking a night scene and something else.
No, because they're kind of, well, like you said, that's what you thought, but there was that scene with the flying bug that came in, and it plays into this. They're at this barracks. It was a trap that was set up by the brain bug. Said, get them all there. We'll send out a distress signal. They made the one guy do it before they sucked out the rest of his brains. So they had the big battle. I think that's probably the biggest battle scene of the whole movie, where they're surrounded and they're just hordes and hordes of these arachnids coming in out of nowhere. And you'd mentioned that you remembered that there was like an endless sea of arachnids coming
That
in.
was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, it was. And you're just like, they're fucked. They got to get out of there. But how the hell are they
I forgot how they got out.
So, during this scene, blood, guts, gore, the grasshopper things are piling up on each other, trying to get over it. They're just walking over the corpses. The people in there, the flying bugs are coming in, decapitating people. Twice in a row.
Me and Duck were like, oh, snap.
And then it happened, we were like, whoa.
Oh,
and
we sound like Bill Cosby.
Just, flying little grasshopper. When they're flying, they gotta watch out. So, the leader then, the teacher, or lieutenant at this point, he's standing like in the middle of the thing. He's like, we're gonna retreat. They call up and they say, we need somebody to come down and get us. Who else would be flying down to get them? But old brunette girl.
Out of all the millions upon millions of people, it's always the people they know. Oh, fancy meeting you
They're
here.
like, we need the best of the best. So they fly down.
So they bring in the person that's
Christian
been there
Bale
for
runs out with a gun. He
6
starts
months.
shooting everything. They're trying to get everyone in there. The teacher's standing in the middle, and all of a sudden another one of those big old beetle bugs comes up. And he falls down into like the sand pit. And the beetle bug rips his legs off.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, shit.
Oh, snap.
And they had shown the scene earlier where the flying bug snatched up the guy and took him to like a nest, and he looked like he was trying to fuck him. And the lieutenant shot the guy, and he's like, if that ever happens to me, kill me. He's like, I expect you to do the same for me. And 10 minutes later, that shit happens to him. And so Rico kills him. But that's the way you want to go, that's fine. Whatever, it is what it is. Did you remember that character at all?
Yeah.
Of the lieutenant with the arm?
I knew that there was a character that was like that, but I didn't really have too much of a memory.
Okay, as I was wondering. When I always thought about that movie, because I never saw it, that was the character that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
But, like, he sticks out like any movie he's in. And he's usually the bad guy. Like, in RoboCop, he's the bad guy. Total Recall, he's the bad guy. Lots of movies throughout the 80s and 90s. He always played the villain. So it's kind of cool to see Michael Ironside get to play a good guy. But he looks evil as shit.
Yeah.
And it works really well.
He looks tough.
So he gets killed, and then the redhead, she throws a grenade into the beetle bug's mouth. It explodes. They're all running to get on the ship. All of a sudden, the wall crashes in. There's another beetle bug.
This was after their sex scene, by the way.
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot about the sex scene.
Yeah, we skipped that part because they were having a party.
Let's go back. After their first victory, that was, they killed the beetle bug like a tank thing. They have a big party.
So now everyone that's listening is like, okay, I'm engaged.
Oh,
again.
yeah. So they have a big party. The lieutenant shows up, and he goes, I take care of those who take care of me, or something like that. That sounds so weird. Pulls out a keg of beer, pulls out a case with footballs and a green violin.
When I'm looking to party, I never forget my balls and violins.
I'll never forget my green violin.
This is the old Deafabob party pack.
Oh, that's what we're going to sell it as? The
Booze, balls, and stringed instruments.
Well...
bows! It's bows on a violin.
So what
Booze, balls, and bows. There needs to be like an infomercial about that.
I kind of like the Deafabob party pack.
The Deafabob party pack.
We need that.
Booze, balls, and bows.
Anyhow, they start partying. They're drinking. Finally, the redhead wants to dance with him. He's like, no, I don't do that anymore. Don't make me pull rank on you, bitch. And she's like, fine. So she grabs the guy next to him.
They don't swear in this whole movie.
Not really a lot.
I don't think they did
I think I've sworn more during this than they have.
I don't think they swore once.
So, anyhow, he's like, I'm not going to dance with you. And the lieutenant comes up and he goes, man, don't mess up a good thing. And that was all it took him saying. And the next scene, they're fucking. and literally, they cut to the next scene. And then Ben got a boner again.
I did not.
He did. It was really awkward. And I had to leave the room.
We decided that I'm...
What was it? Because we decided that you watched it the first time with my brother Matt. You're like, I'm only going to watch this movies with your family, and I'm only going to get awkward boners from your family. So how did you feel about that, though? Did it bring up old memories?
No, the first time I ever saw it was
because that was your sexual awakening.
That was like the most erotic thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, she does go straight for the nipple, like right away. But that's not a move
but
many women go for.
But it's a man with his shirt off. I don't think he saw hers again.
Oh, no. She took them off.
I think they covered it with arms.
No.
And then they kissed.
You weren't looking.
And that was it. So, like...
Yeah, but they fucked because the lieutenant comes back.
But they don't show anything.
And he's just laying there. No, they totally show boobs. But they're laying there, and the lieutenant's like, we need... Because he got a message from headquarters.
It was like a split second, and then that was it.
No, there was way more.
But, my point is, back then, it was like an hour.
Oh, so you're saying...
It was like I'm like, whoa.
Your memory of it was like a soft porn.
It was like...
porn.
It was the most erotic thing I've ever seen in my life.
So
and this time I was like, oh,
so what are you trying to say? You would like think about it.
We got desensitized because of life.
No. Wait, would you ever be at school and you think about that scene and get that fucking 2 minutes before the bell rang boner?
Yeah, you have to put your books in.
You know what I'm talking about. You ever just be sitting there in class and all of a sudden you're like, not now. You have zero control over it.
I know I'd be good all period long, and then when my body knew there was 1 minute left before the bell rings, I'm like, oh, here we are now.
For some reason, the bell turned you on.
And I'm like, dang it! It was a suspense.
Oh, dude, it did suck though. Remember that?
Every time.
And you'd have to talk it down, and the teacher would be like, well, what are you doing? You'd be like...
Yeah, like breathe in.
Oh, dude. You know what the best way to deal with it was? And we all did it. The tuck and flip. Tuck and flip.
Yep.
How many times did you walk down the hallway with your boner tucked up into your fucking pants? How many times?
Every man, dude. Every child.
My question is,
every child.
How were we able to actually arrange ourselves so we could tuck before we got up? Did you do an awkward get up?
You gotta make sure nobody's looking.
Did you lean back?
You slip it to the side and then up top.
Oh, jeez, I couldn't remember how I did it. I just remember
if you would have had the Deaf Ball Party Pack, it would have had instructions on how to do this. Because we know how to party. We know how to get things done around here. Party like crazy around here.
What is that instructions?
Reach that process we all tuck and lock.
Where were we at? Okay, so they fuck. Ben got a boner.
Slip, slap, and lock it.
They go back. Let's cut back to the scene after this where they're all dying, and because they had a night before, like you said, Jesus bug decided to take them out. Right. So as she kills the giant beetle bug, she turns. One of the arachnids comes in slow motion and gives her the old yow, chow, chow. And so this goes to probably what me and Ben's favorite scene was in the movie.
Oh, yes, here we go.
They shoot down the bug. They rip the giant mandible out of her side, and they carry her into the thing. They take off for space. And as she's laying there, dying, she's like...
It's like Randy from South Park. Stan!
Yeah, exactly. She's like, Rico? And she looks like a crazy woman. Like, the acting wouldn't be terrible. And this is what we talk about. Most traditional death scenes, it's like, at least I got to be with you. But she
tell my wife that I love him.
And then you do the traditional death. And literally, 10 minutes after this death scene, that exact death scene happens.
It was
the
done
traditional, go, get out of here.
Do it for me.
She doesn't do that. She takes it to a whole new
level. Who gets to demonstrate it?
Oh, you do.
Me?
Because this is, me and Ben paused it and we were laughing our asses off. She does her traditional, she's like, I got to be with you, Johnny. And she does the,
it's okay.
But then she comes back and go ahead and do what she does.
And this is like, she's like, her actress, she's like, I ain't doing no stupid traditional death scene. I'm going to push the boundaries of acting today. Just goes, I got to be with you, Johnny. And then old Johnny Rico's,
Dude, it was so over the top because you're like, that was your choice?
That's how you wanted to die?
She literally, because she'd almost
and you know what? Because of that, now you got two dudes making fun of you on a podcast over
there. But you're still hot. Dude, that was awesome. Can I get one more time from you? Just the
Jet. It's okay, Johnny. At least I got to be with you.
And there's
one more time.
What you don't understand is this the shaking Ben's door where
they might be able to hear the shaking because the mics are right there.
Oh my god, dude, it makes me so happy.
It was so good. So good.
Okay, so they get into space. They have space funeral for her.
A space funeral. That's what the new Space Force. They have like space funeral
for her. They're like, she was the mom.
You know, I was just always like, I don't want a funeral. Just cremate me. Now I'm just like, you know what? Screw this. I want a space funeral. Take my body to space. Like, screw it, cremated, dude.
Is there some space out in space from a space funeral?
What's funny is that me and Amy, my wife Amy, just had this conversation like a few months ago. If we died, we're like, what are we going to do, a burial or cremation? We're like, nah, cremation. Now I have to have this conversation with my, hey, I know I told you, I just wanted to get cremated and keep it cheap. Turns out, space funeral.
Honey, new plan.
Space funeral.
And as you're dying, you should do the same scene. You should do I want a space funeral.
Oh my god. No, if I die, I hope I have enough energy and sense of humor to die like that. Even if I'm not actually dead when I actually finish it. But I'll fake dead until I actually die. But
oh my god, dude. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Space funeral. They see Doogie Howser. He busts in. So it's Doogie Howser, Johnny Rico, and Denise Richards. because I don't remember what her character's name was. It was Bad Acting Woman, because she is terrible. Because she is
Carmen
San Diego. So anyhow, they're talking. So basically, like, we've got to go find this hive mind.
They find out they have the brain bug.
They got the brain bug. So we're like, we're going to go to this place to get the brain bug. They get down there. And as they get down, it's a different planet altogether. And then they have a bunch of new Starship Trooper recruits. And me and Ben were laughing because it's literally like 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds. And they're like, they look awfully young. Yeah, because they're like 14 and 15 years
Meanwhile,
old.
to me, I'm thinking they've only been out of boot camp for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
These youngsters.
Well, no,
they had to make them look younger. They made running like 12-year-olds.
I think it was they'd only been out of boot camp for a couple weeks. I think they were running out of people to send up to fight the bugs.
No, because that was a year earlier. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay, okay. So it was a space time.
So yeah, it's been a year. You know, still is a short amount of time to go from private to freaking lieutenant.
Literally, Gary Busey's son, big old teeth Jake Busey, looks at him. He's like, "Nah, we're the old guys." And I'm like, "Well, you really didn't look that young to begin with."
But they made
up
him look
next
so
to
young,
fucking kindergartners.
yeah.
You guys look old as shit.
That's funny.
So anyhow, they're going in. They're going to go into battle. They're going to go find this brain bug. At the same time, you got the beetle butts shooting up the blue stuff again. They're taking out the space ships in the atmosphere. It hits the brunette ship. They escape that. There's a whole scene, and that's where I was like, it looks like crap.
Yeah, they did.
It did look really bad. You could tell where they spent the money and where they were just like, we need to use something here.
They started running out.
Yeah,
at the end.
They were running out of money quickly. So anyhow, their spaceship gets blown up. They lose their captain, and she has a traditional death scene where she gets crushed by a door. It was pretty cool. And so they escape. She's like, get out. Blah. So they jettison out, and they go flying towards the planet, and he hears them on a distress signal. Johnny Rico does, and he's like, where are you guys at? They land in like this cave. Well, they call it Bug City. So they actually land in the center of the cave where the bugs are. They get out of the thing. They survive the crash somehow, and all of a sudden, they're in this cave, and a bunch of arachnids show up. And they capture them, and they put their freaking mandibles through them, and they hold down Christian Bale-looking guy, who she cheated on Johnny Rico with, and they hold down her, and then that's when they bring in the freaking...
The mother brain bug.
And did you remember the mother brain bug? The mother brain bug you brought up.
That was the one I thought that something came out of the ground that was more bulbous. I had it backwards. Bulbous. It turns out that the image I had in my head was the brain one.
So you were right.
Yeah.
So you had an idea.
But I thought it was the one that came out of the ground.
You thought about the brain sucking. What did you think that was going to be? Exactly what it was?
I couldn't remember if they ate the people or if they used their brains. I couldn't remember what they were doing with brains. Turns out they did. They sucked their brains out.
And it was freaking awesome.
But it didn't suck them in. It had this little, like, spiky straw that come out of its little mouth and stabbed you in the head and sucked out your brains.
You look at it, it looks like a vagina. It really does. It did. I know you didn't want to say it, but there was definitely that. It looked like a vagina on the front of a giant spider brain bug. It's bizarre, but it looks so freaking cool and scary and freaky. And
I guess anything with flesh and a
hole.
Dude,
it did. No, it looked like a vulva. It did. You can't say otherwise. Yeah. I think it was supposed to look that way because there's a scene later that they kind of
he goes to suck out this dude's brain. Someone like me is gonna kill something like you someday. He spits at him.
Yeah.
Oh, and then that was the monster goes. He takes his leather glove off and slaps him.
I don't think so.
And then he sucks his brains out.
No, he totally takes his little piercer straw, goes right into the head. And I love
this is brutal.
When he was sucking out the brain, dude, and his eyes were rolling back.
And they started to, like, his face sucked in.
Oh, that was so cool.
He looked like he was in pain. So they did a great job.
Before they did all that, Johnny Rico, he hears them being captured by other bugs. He's like, we're not going to go save them. We got to go find this brain bug. They're dead already. But then he gets this feeling like she's still alive. So when they get down into the corridors, into the caverns, he tells his main team to go continue the mission. And he and two of his other people are going to go down this other place because he thinks she's alive down there. So he gets down there. So at the time that the guy's getting his brain sucked out by the brain bug, he had handed her a knife. Why he didn't keep the knife and do what she does, I have no idea. But they throw her up for the brain bug to take her brains out. And as it takes down the little slurpy straw, she cuts it off. And this thing goes writhing in pain. It's, you know. And so that's enough time for her to get up and start to run. And she's running away, and you're thinking all the arachnids are going to chase her, and they stop. And it cuts to Johnny Rico's holding a nuclear warhead. And he goes, you know what this is, because you're some kind of fucking brain bug, right? And he doesn't curse, but I do. And so they do. And the brain bug sees it, so he retreats. And it's him, Denise Richards, Gary Busey's son, Jake Busey with the big teeth,
Guile.
and the guy from The Walking Dead who plays the priest. And they're all in there.
It does look like that.
No, he is it. That's
him.
Yeah, that's the guy who plays
What?
the priest. Yeah, that plays the father in The Walking Dead.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so, basically, they're all talking shit to the bugs. They're shooting them, and then the bugs swipe the back of the priest, and he falls, and they give him the nuclear warhead, and they all run out of there, and the priest sets off the nuclear warhead. They're all outside, a bunch of the arachnids are dead, and all of a sudden they're all cheering and running along and chanting and all excited. They're like, we won, we got it. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? So they cut over to a bunch of the Starship Troopers, and they're bringing out the brain bug. How they got him wrapped up in like all that mesh and stuff? Because I didn't see any net, did you?
No.
So they got him covered in net, and they bring him over.
He weaved it himself.
Yeah. The brain bug did?
No, that one trooper.
The one guy who caught him.
Yeah.
And that's the cool changeover.
That's what he was doing that whole year. He was...
Oh, yeah, he's just making that stuff.
Weaving himself a nice net.
I'm going to catch me a brain bug.
What do you do for fun? Well, I'm just a big net guy.
Yeah, I
just like nets.
Yeah. So here, I got this one. This one's made out of him. But anyhow, so they cut over.
You said this one's made out of him?
Made out of him. Oh, yeah.
Use his skin?
Yeah, it's just all these people die.
Oh, it's a human net.
So they bring him out, and they got him all captured up, and they go, wow, we got him. And they bring over Doogie Howser, who I forgot to mention was psychic. Earlier in the movie they did that. And he goes over and he feels the side of it. And he's like, well, what does it feel? And you can see this thing's fucking whimpering and scared as shit. And he goes, it's afraid. I'm like, no shit. I really need you to say that? Like, the brain bug's acting.
As I'm an MD, make what I say sound interesting.
It's a medical truth. So then they cut to the person who caught him was the drill sergeant from earlier who trained him.
Yeah.
And then they cut to one final scene where they do kind of like the newsreel out, and they take like this weird thing and they shove it into the brain bug's vagina.
Yeah.
And then they show all the
they're doing
cast
like
members.
testing on it and stuff.
Movie's over. Movie was fucking awesome.
It was great.
Wasn't it great?
Oh yeah, dude.
Dude, did you love it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Does it feel like what you remember watching when you were younger?
Totally.
Would you suggest people watch it?
Totally.
Was there anything that you weren't expecting happen that happened? Other than the death scene where she's like,
oh, I'm pretty sure it's just like, I remember all that. I'm pretty sure I was just like, you know what? This is as I remember it now. It all makes sense.
As you were watching the movie, and I saw it happening in real time, things were coming back to you.
The one part that I totally didn't remember was the big beetle bug that shot the acid out. He jumped on its back and was shooting a hole in its back. And when he chucked the grenade down into his body, I didn't remember that part. That part was cool.
No, so that was like all new.
That just seemed to me like it was brand new.
See, but everything else was kind of along the lines of what you remember from that movie.
Yeah. I don't remember the party pack. So I forgot about the Death and Ball party pack.
All right. The question I really want to ask you now, would you let your son watch this movie?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot more violent.
It's pretty gory. He should be watching it. And then there were boobs. I don't want him seeing boobs.
Well, eventually he needs to see boobs.
Eventually he will, but not yet.
Not yet. No, he's not at that point.
No.
When he's 27
he's still an
innocent
married child, yeah.
When he's 27 and married.
Yeah, when he's 40 and married.
Yeah. When he's 40 and married. Other than that, do you think you saw it at the right time in your life? What, you thought you were in third grade?
Man, I think it was much better when I was younger because it was like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I've been desensitized over the years where like, it was still really good. It was still really awesome. Loved the movie. But it had an awesome impact today as I was watching it, but it was even greater when it first came out because there was nothing really like it at that time.
Right. I'm trying to think if there was anything like that.
Pure fantasy, sci-fi, action, gore. I mean, it was awesome.
And like I said, what's weird is watching it the first time today, I could see how bad the acting was. And I actually wrote Ben a message and I said, I can't tell if this movie is really well written but really badly acted, or really badly written but really well acted. And I'm still not sure.
I didn't notice the bad acting because it just worked.
It's pretty bad.
It just worked.
There's the thing that buys it back is there is literally a character arc for most of the characters you can feel throughout the movie. And by the end of it, you're like, I really like all these people.
You know what it is? You know how like Jerry Seinfeld was like a terrible actor from Seinfeld, but it just worked, but you didn't even think it. You didn't realize it.
Universe, it made sense.
It just worked.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe that's what it is.
And I think you said it best. It's a B movie in every way, shape, and form. It feels like a B movie. It feels like it should be made for sci-fi, but the effects take it over the edge, and the acting really does too.
Man.
Regardless
I've seen a lot of like decent B-rated made for sci-fi movies that were good. And
Yeah.
the graphics might not be the best, but I've seen some decent ones. But the ones that looked as good as this one still weren't as good
Did it
as
look
this
like
one.
$100 million movie?
No.
It doesn't.
God, no.
It really, like when the CGI is on and the bugs are
That
coming,
just blows my mind. That's a lot.
It's a lot for that movie.
I mean,
But 97 though, there's a lot of arachnids on the screen, so maybe that's where.
What is that in comparison to the movies now? Like 105 million.
Well, I
back
mean, you
then,
really
how
can't
much is that
compare
now?
it because let's say The Avengers was like a $200 million movie, I think, but that movie's huge, but like you get a lot more bang for your buck because like that's early CGI. I'm trying to think of like what you could really. The only thing I could really compare it to was The Lord of the Rings. Like I said, it just looks cheap sometimes, and then other times it looks like they really put the money in there.
Yeah.
And
When did Star Wars like Episode 1 and 2 come out?
1999.
99?
1 came out. I think.
So that's almost at the same era.
But at the same time, that's
Almost.
coming directly from Lucasfilm, who created most of that technology.
Yeah.
Those movies were expensive too.
How much
I'm
were
trying to
those?
think, if I saw that movie in '97, I probably would not think it looked cheap. But I still thought it looked cheap back when I would see the trailers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought the CGI looked too fluid and stuff like. You know, when it comes down to it, you called it best. It is just a spaceship.
It's just the base model, baby.
I don't like the spaceship design.
You just
Everything
didn't like
else
the
is kind of
props.
cool.
You didn't like the props and stuff.
No, I love the bugs.
No,
At
the
first-
props, like the...
Oh yeah, it looked like crap.
the
But
yeah.
it looked like they just took a toaster and repainted
the walls,
it.
and like there were crates lying around.
It literally looked like styrofoam. I literally thought somebody would.
Yeah, totally.
So you agree with me? It did look a little crappy.
I didn't think it looked crappy. I'm just saying it definitely looked like cheap plastic,
Okay.
but I think it worked. I think it made sense.
Well, on all, I highly suggest this movie. What do you think?
Totally.
And if you haven't seen it in a long time, definitely watch it again. It's worth your time.
Just as good.
The only thing is, it's 2 hours long, but it's
really
worth
notice. I didn't really notice.
It's worth it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to this first episode of Movie Amnesia. And I am Duck, and this is
Ben Deffelbaugh.
And if you want to order the Deffelbaugh Party Pack,
Yeah.
we'll have that on sale.
555. Not $89.99. Not 3 payments. Not 2 payments. Not even 1 payment.
It'll be 555-89 Party because I like to party.
So we go out Death Girl style.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And there it is. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast today. If you have enjoyed it, please do not forget, share with your friends. That is how we grow the network. And if this is your first time listening, head over to your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, iTunes, and give We Are Podcast a like. And if you've enjoyed this podcast, you're going to love the other podcast here on the We Are Podcast Network. We have We Are Bagoo, a video game podcast featuring me and Dr. Ethan Eastwood. That's where we talk Atari to Steam and everything in between. Don't forget, Heroes Jiro's, a Dungeons and Distraction side quest. Me and the boys were sitting down, we're playing some D&D, we're having so much fun. You can go and start that from the beginning of the journey, Season 1, Episode 1. You're going to love it all the way through. And finally, I Hate Being Sober. Personal stories from epic people. I'm going to sit down with some of the most epic people I've ever met in this world, and we're going to talk about their life, we're going to talk about their trials and tribulations, and we're just going to talk about their journey this far. Head on over to our social media. All links can be found in the description. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at /WeArePodcast. Also, head over to the Facebook group, We Are Era. We would love to see you in that group. And don't forget, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, share it with your friends. That's the only way we can grow this network. With that said, do not forget, support local comedy in any way that you can. We really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time.